Hello, dear people. Let's revisit a long-forgotten urban legend. This is an urban legend that first appeared in the early 20th century. Deep in the forests near the town of Clifton stood a psychiatric sanatorium. As more and more people gradually settled in the area, dissatisfaction grew over the presence of such an institution nearby. The residents even submitted a petition demanding that it be relocated. The authorities agreed to transfer the lunatics and other psychiatric patients to another facility. According to the legend, one evening all the patients were loaded into 15 buses to be transported to a different asylum. Along the way, something, yes, perhaps a rabbit, suddenly darted in front of one of the vehicles. In an attempt to avoid hitting it, the driver swerved sharply. The bus crashed into the trees beside the road, and most of those on board, including the driver, were killed instantly. Several of the inmates, however, survived and escaped into the forest. The following day, police launched a massive manhunt that continued for months. Every escaped patient was eventually captured except for two, Marcus Walster and Douglas Griffin. During the search, police officers and local residents frequently came across horrifying scenes: dismembered, mutilated, and partially eaten rabbit carcasses, some of them hanging from trees. Their fur had been completely stripped away, and their internal organs were scattered across the ground. Eventually, Walster's body was found. He was hanging beneath a railroad bridge on Colchester Road. In his hand, he still clutched a crude knife he had fashioned himself from a sharpened stone attached to a tree branch. Tied to his leg was a note that read, "You will never catch me, no matter how hard you try." Synod. The Bunny Man. It was believed that the note had been left by the second fugitive, Douglas Griffin, who was still at large. On April 7, 1905, the police officially ended the search, assuming that Douglas Griffin had either died or fled elsewhere. But was that really the end? This is where the legend truly began to take on a life of its own. Because of the rabbit carcasses discovered during the search and the mysterious note, people began telling stories about the Bunny Man who haunted the surrounding woods. The bridge where Marcus Walster's body had been found soon became known as Bunny Man Bridge. According to the legend, on Halloween night in 1905, a group of teenagers gathered beneath the bridge to celebrate. The following morning, they were found slaughtered and disemboweled like rabbits. The following Halloween, another group of teenagers gathered beneath the bridge. One of the girls, frightened by the bridge's sinister reputation, decided to remain some distance away. According to her account, around midnight she saw a pale light moving toward her friends. As soon as the light reached the bridge, it flashed brilliantly. All she could hear were the terrified screams of her friends. She ran toward the bridge to see what had happened. There, the lifeless bodies of the teenagers hung from the bridge, disemboweled in the now familiar manner. According to the story, no one believed the girl's testimony. Instead, she herself was accused of the murders and spent the rest of her life confined to a psychiatric hospital. The Bunny Man with the axe. The legend claims that more teenage bodies were later discovered beneath the bridge in 1913, 1949, and 1976. The police never identified the killer. Instead, increasing numbers of people claimed to have seen a strange figure. Wandering through the forest was a man the size of an adult, dressed in what looked like a rabbit costume. He often carried an axe or a long knife, threatening people or vandalizing their property. Reports of sightings gradually spread far beyond the area, reaching as far as Maryland and the outskirts of Columbia. On October 19, 1970, a young Air Force Academy cadet named Bob Bennett had parked his car near Burke, Virginia. His fiancée was with him, and the two were talking inside the vehicle. They noticed a white figure approaching. Moments later, the windshield shattered, and a sinister voice shouted, "You are on private property." Terrified, the couple sped away at full speed. They later discovered a small hatchet lying on the floor of the car, the same one that had shattered the windshield. Bennett later told police that the attacker had been dressed in a strange rabbit costume. Police began to believe that the Bunny Man was no longer just an urban legend, and that a dangerous maniac was indeed roaming the woods. Only 2 weeks after Bennett's encounter, another incident occurred. Paul Phillips, a private security guard employed by a construction company, reported seeing a rabbit the size of a man standing near the construction site he was guarding. As he approached, he heard the figure shout, "All of you people keep coming through here. If you don't leave, I'll bash your heads in." The figure then began wildly swinging an axe. Phillips immediately ran back to retrieve his firearm from his vehicle, but by the time he returned, the rabbit had already disappeared into the forest. After these two incidents became public, a flood of additional reports followed. It is entirely possible that mass hysteria had taken hold and that many people simply began imagining strange things. Nearly 50 individuals claimed to have seen the Bunny Man. Several unsolved murders in the area were even attributed to the axe-wielding figure in the rabbit costume. Newspapers and television stations fueled the growing panic. Eventually, however, public interest faded and the hysteria subsided. Urban legends, however, never truly die. According to the story, on Halloween night in 1987, several young people once again gathered beneath the bridge, frightening one another with stories about the Bunny Man. Among them was a young woman named Janet. She did not believe the stories very much, but around midnight a brilliant light suddenly flashed around them, and she felt something slash across her chest. Panicking, she ran, only to collide with something hanging in front of her, as perhaps a suspended body, before falling unconscious. When she regained consciousness, she discovered that her hair had turned completely white. The story never reveals what the other young people witnessed. Most likely, this particular incident is entirely fictional, unlike the earlier reports involving the cadet and the security guard, which appear considerably more credible. It is also claimed that local police once received a telephone call from the Bunny Man himself. According to the caller, "You're trespassing on my territory. You're leaving nothing but stumps and broken branches, and you're dumping all kinds of garbage. We can settle this. Meet me tonight, and we'll discuss the situation." Naturally, no rabbit ever appeared at the agreed meeting place. A local police inspector later remarked that the Bunny Man had been seen mainly by children and teenagers. The case was eventually closed. How much of this legend is true, and how much is pure fiction? Could there have been more than one bunny man? Given the enduring popularity of the story, it would not be surprising if, one day, yet another psychopath were to put on a rabbit costume, grab an axe, and begin terrifying people in the forests of Virginia once again.